Okay, so welcome to our second week of Chaplain in Car Getting Coffee, and let's see who our special guest is today. Who is getting in our car today? It's actually ahead of house. It's ahead of house. Let's see who it is. Here she is. It's Mrs Burgess.
Hello.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome to the car.
Thank you. Safety first. I'm going to put my seatbelt on.
Yep. And you bought coffees.
And I bought coffee.
I love that, which fits the theme
Flat
of
white for you as well.
our chapel. I am a flat white drinker. You all buckled in?
I am buckled in.
That is
Got
great.
my coffee in hand.
Excellent.
These are crazy times. Although, just because we're isolating doesn't mean we need to miss out on chapel. So I'm bringing chapel to you. Each week I'll go for a drive with a staff member. We'll talk life, faith, social isolation, and everything in between. Welcome to Chaplain with Teachers in Cars Getting Coffee.
How's it going? How's your remote classes and your remote lessons and all that sort of thing?
Oh, no, I miss them so much. It's not quite the same. I love seeing them every day. It's not quite the same. But there's still lots of banter and those sorts of things too, which is really good.
That's good. What's been a couple of, as we've sort of been getting ready for isolation, what are some things at home that you would get involved in if you're stuck at home? Do you have any favourite TV shows, anything you've got ready to go so that you can just watch or be engaged with?
So my husband and I are watching Vikings at the moment. So it's really perfect for isolation because there's 5 seasons.
Mm-hmm.
So shows like Vikings, or I know you're a fan of West Wing. If you've actually got long series and they go for a long time, it means that you could actually spend months watching a show. So I'm currently in season 2 of Vikings.
Okay.
Loving it. Best of history. It's very violent, but it's really, really great fun. So thoroughly enjoying that of Ragnar Lothbrok.
Are you and your husband into board games?
We are.
Would that be something that's going to take up some isolation time?
I think so. He's trying to teach me about Settlers of Catan as well. So I didn't grow up playing that game. I'm more of a Scrabble fan. But I think, between Scrabble and Settlers of Catan, that should actually, be an hours and hours of entertainment.
Well, yeah, Settlers is a long-term sort of game, so I think there'd be lots of fun there. And Scrabble.
I'll tell you who's really good at Scrabble is the ladies at Rough Edges on Friday nights. Students play Scrabble with the ladies at Rough Edges, and they know the rules and the words like no tomorrow.
Oh my gosh.
So highly, highly competitive.
Okay. And I imagine some of the ladies at Rough Edges beat out some of our students?
Yes, and will challenge words and those sorts of things. So students, really have to up their game, really.
So there's multiple reasons to go to Rough Edges. One is you actually get to serve people who are living rough in our city.
Entirely, yes, which, at the moment is just even rougher. It's really tough.
And you also get a chance to see, I guess, what we call Christian love in action.
Yes, entirely.
But on top of all that, you get to sharpen your Scrabble skills.
Well, life skills at its finest, really.
Yeah. And I imagine, hopefully, Rough Edges will be back on sometime soonish, before the end of the year at least.
Yes, yes, entirely.
So those who have been trained, you should get a go to go help out and serve at Rough Edges.
Absolutely, most welcome.
Now, we're on the eve of our holidays, which is exciting. Although it's going to be a bit hard to know. You'll be playing Scrabble and Settlers of Catan in your holiday.
Entirely, yes.
And watching Vikings. But that will still be a nice break, of course. And it's our Easter holiday. So Easter holidays, classically, Easter has been this celebration of the death and the resurrection of Jesus. The death, Good Friday, the resurrection on Sunday. And as a Christian yourself, is there something in the Easter story that is particularly profound or meaningful for you?
I just think it's just so powerful, the fact that Christ was willing to sacrifice and give up his life for me and for you and for other Christians, in the fact that the crucifixion is such a brutal way to die. I mean, I'm a history nerd, and you really don't want to be crucified. It's a long, painful process. So the idea being that he loved us so much that he was willing to face judgment and then stand up in front of us to enable us to have eternal life. So I think that's just such a powerful story in the fact that we are so loved, and I think that's just an extraordinary an extraordinary aspect about the Christian faith, I think.
Yeah, I love that. At the heart of Christian faith is a God who just loves us at so much cost to himself. Yeah. And I love that we get a holiday to actually remember that. We should celebrate that. Yeah, that's fantastic. And so that's coming up very soon. It'll be a chance for all of us to reflect and remember and be thankful for the love that God has for us.
Absolutely. And now that we're lots of church services aren't meeting, I think that'll be really interesting to have the first Easter, where we haven't had a chance to meet as a church community, and in terms of sharing with our families as well. Like, it might be a really good opportunity to share with our families if we're having online services or we're watching videos or those sorts of things too. It's so new. We haven't had anything like this before at all. So it'll be a very, very different Easter holiday, I think.
Yeah, that's right. It's Easter online, and every church is doing an online service, and also the cathedral. Obviously, kind of our own church is doing an online service. So if you don't have a local church but you're at home and you want to do something on Easter weekend, you can tune into the cathedral, which
great idea.
I think would also be good. So, I mean, going further down your own Christian faith, often a lot of Christians have a Bible verse, which is either a favourite or a meaningful passage for them. What would you consider to be a Bible verse that holds a lot of meaning for yourself?
So I love Proverbs 3. I loved it so much that I actually had it at my wedding, which interestingly enough, you officiated at my wedding. So yes,
that is true. I don't know if everyone knows this.
I know. So you actually married my husband and I. That sounds a bit bizarre, but actually you did officiate at my wedding.
Yes.
So that is very, very exciting. So we're very, very lucky to have Mr Tubman, which is great.
And it was a fantastic ceremony. I mean, mainly because of you and your husband, who are amazing. But it was a great ceremony, and so that was a special moment.
Yeah, it was.
And then, that Proverbs 3 was read at your wedding.
Absolutely. So it's about trusting in the Lord. But I found it really helpful when I was a teenager, which was now 10 years ago. Goodness gracious. I spent a lot of time as a teenager making decisions or, trying to decide between things when I wasn't putting my trust in God. And I think that's, looking back with the benefit of hindsight has 20/20 vision, it was actually, okay, God has a plan, just let him be in control. And the idea being that I don't need to be in control, I don't need to make decisions, that are selfish or, thinking about, what's best for me. It's actually, okay, what does God want in this situation?
Yes. Which is powerful, not just in the context of relationships and everyday life, but I mean, even now in the midst, I think one of the hardest things about the shutdowns and the lock-ins and all that sort of thing is the fact that we are losing control of our daily life. But I guess that the passage in Proverbs 3 even speaks into this current moment, doesn't it?
It's a beautiful passage. I highly recommend people have a read of it. It is really a really beautiful piece of writing.
Proverbs chapter 3. And everyone's got a Bible at home. And if you don't have a Bible at home, you can jump on BibleGateway.com and you can just plug in Proverbs 3.
It's just gorgeous.
And you can read our Bible passage from chapter 3. Yeah. Any final words for the students? So everyone's watching this at home.
Yes.
Last week of term 1, and we're oddly doing chapel in a car.
We are.
Having a conversation. So any other messages or words for all the students and the staff at home as they're watching this today?
I would really encourage people to have a hobby or do something different that you otherwise wouldn't have done, really. I've heard some really cracker recipes. I was talking to Matty Overton, hearing about a fettuccine, and Cooper Crellin and his scrambled eggs. The secret to scrambled eggs I now know. I heard that Miss Jarvis is taking up knitting.
Oh, Wow.
I will be, along with my Vikings and Settlers of Catan, I will be painting an apartment. So if anyone has some tips about how to paint, I'm all for it, all ears. If everyone wants to work out whether they're cooking or whether they're learning to cross stitch or whether they're going to build a cabinet or learn how to mow the lawn, just use the holidays to actually do something completely different.
That is a great piece
would be
of advice.
My holiday suggestion. Just because we're spending so much time at home, what can we do that is completely different?
Find a hobby.
Find a hobby. That's not Netflix. I love Netflix, but not Netflix.
Netflix doesn't count as a hobby.
No, I wish it did.
It's great to have a conversation, to hear a little bit about some of your story and some of your experience so far, some of the ways that you're keeping busy in the holiday break, and also to hear Proverbs 3, such a powerful chapter and an important chapter for you in terms of letting go of complete control and just allowing God to be present and to lead, which is such a good word for our current situation. As a little Easter present,
oh yes,
I thought I'd better get you a something to eat over the holidays. So here's your Easter egg.
Thank you.
As we
Thank you very
celebrate
much.
Easter. That's okay.
Yum.
Got it in the glove. And I look forward to hearing how your Easter holidays go.
Thank you. Happy Easter to you too.
Thanks for joining us.